Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. My name's Paige and today I'm going to be talking about Booktube books that I hate. Now hate is a strong word and I definitely don't hate all of these books, but they were definitely disappointments. However, some of them I feel true hate and anger towards they were ever published. So, the first book I absolutely cannot stand is Cinder by Marissa Meyer. Now I understand why people like this book, however I could not get on board with the whole cyborg thing. I'm scared of technology as it is, and I definitely did not want to see it in my favourite fairy tale. In all honesty, I read this a while ago and I don't quite remember the plot. I just remember detesting it and being really angry that there was a cyborg in it. And I understand that's the point of Marissa Meyer's series, but it's just really not for me. So if you like this book, don't be offended, it's a personal thing. I was so not into this. I DNF'd it. And I've hated it ever since, and now I'm donating it. Can't stand it. Needs to go. The next book that I didn't like is Three Dark Crowns by Kendare. Now this book actually was not a hate for me. I just did never finish it. I found it quite predictable and tropey. There was just something about this I couldn't get on board with. I wasn't quite sure I liked the plot of sisters, sisters tearing down sisters. I understand that's the whole point of this book, that's the plot, but I just wasn't really into it. The only parts I found interesting was the political elements and the factions and those warring against each other, which is what I like to see in a fantasy, but this just wasn't it for me. The next book is, again, not a hate, just a book that I found a bit meh and confusing, and that is 1,000 Nights by E.K. Johnston. The plot of this book sounded really interesting when I heard it being talked about on YouTube a few years ago. It kind of follows the original 1,000 Nights tale of a woman who tells a king stories each night to try and prevent herself from being killed, but this introduces magic elements, and it really sounds right up my street. But I just found it confusing. I couldn't quite keep track of all the names and the lore within this. So again, not really a hate, however, just Booktube didn't do it for me on this one. Now the next book that I was lured into buying by Booktube is Milk and Honey. Now this is a collection of modern poetry, and at the time that I bought it I didn't hate it, but having reread it now, I'm just not into modern poetry, and this is not the first modern poetry book that I've read recently, and I just find it a bit woman-hatey and a bit women hating women and tearing other women down, and I'm not into that. And not every single poem in here is bad. There are some that I vibed with. For the most part, this is a no, and I don't think we should be recommending books that have these elements of women hating women. The Selection by Kiera. This is a hate. I wish I'd gotten rid of this book ages ago. The main character in this book is so irritating. I'm annoyed that they're turning this into a movie or a TV series or whatever the hell they're turning it into. I just wanted to reach into this book and slap her. She was so irritating, I couldn't even finish this series. I read this book and the half of the second one, and then I just couldn't do it anymore. It also introduces a love triangle, which I can't stand love triangle tropes. Sometimes in books I think they work. Most of the time I just can't do it. It really grinds my gears. This book is by far the most hated book on this list. This next Booktube book I really wanted to like. I love Rick Riordan's book. I'm currently reading his Heroes of Olympus series and plan to read the rest of his books this summer, so I really wanted to like this book, and that is Circe by Madeleine Miller. I wanted to move on from Rick Riordan's children's version of mythology and read one geared towards adults. This wasn't it. This book had absolutely no plot. I found afterwards that my understanding of mythology was in fact increased. When I went back to reading Rick Riordan, there were bits and pieces that I picked up on really quickly, having read this and understanding how different mythologies link. But as a book in itself, this book just had no plot, and I really wanted to like this, and I saw that Emma from Drinking by Myself really liked this, and so I wanted to too, but it just wasn't it. Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins. This book just was not Anna and the French Kiss. It was not up to that standard. I did fly through it in one sitting because it's impossible not to do that with a YA contemporary. This just was a bit of a miss for me. I hope that Isla and the Happily Ever After is much better, and I liked the incorporation of Anna into this book, but I just found the overall plot a bit underwhelming. I didn't really relate to Lola in any way. This was just eh. And this final book I'm going to show you on the list is really going to be quite divisive, and that is A Court of Mist and Fury by Sarah J. Maas. I really enjoy Sarah J. Maas books, and I really enjoyed the first book to this, A Court of Thorns and Roses I think it is, and I definitely do want to reread them and finish that series. However, love triangle, I just hate it. This wasn't one of those plots where I thought the love triangle worked. And let me explain what I mean by a love triangle working. And I don't mean it objectively working, I mean working for me. For me, a love triangle that works is something like The Well of Ascension, Mistborn Book 2 by Brown and Sanderson. The love triangle was very subtle in this. It wasn't she was in love with one person and then all of a sudden she was in love with another and oh my god, she's confused. It was more of a doubts and another person being introduced and more doubts, and it was just really subtle, and so I like this for that. Whereas this love triangle had more of a, she feels really strongly about the first guy, but then this other guy comes in and oh my god, no, he's like the one, and both of them are the one, and she was just being to both of them, and I just don't want to read that. It gets on my nerves. It didn't when I was younger. During the Twilight age, I was big into my love triangles. Now that I'm older, I really can't stand to read them if they're like this, but I'm gonna give this one another go. Those are the Booktube books that I hate. I hope you don't hate me now after this video, and if you like these books then I'm really sorry, it's just my personal opinion. Please let me know why you like them down below and maybe you can change my mind, or let me know some other books that you read because of Booktube that you ended up hating. Please like this video if you'd like to see more book content from me, and I will see you in my next video. Bye!